Alright, welcome back. I have an opportunity to do another video on how to remove frozen chainring bolts. So I got this Sagino crank. I got this at the old Sunday salvage sale used. The chainring bolts are super rusty and would not move. See if you can see some in the light. So I did eventually break these two out and got these two loose. I'm going to show you how to break them loose. Most of the time you can do that. I thought maybe one of these I couldn't, and then I realized there is the fifth bolt, hidden under the crank arm chainring bolt, and it is just spinning in there, and it is too skinny in here to get a chainring bolt tool, which I'm about to show you. So this is going to have to get out the hard way, so I do get to show you all the ways of doing it. Maybe all the ways. So I like to use any chainring bolt, especially stuck stuff, I like to use a long Allen wrench. And this is a Park chainring bolt tool. It is the CNW2. It's got two different sides, and they have a weird little face and teeth for sticking inside the chainring and grabbing these two little slots. So sometimes the shallow one's better, sometimes the deep one's better. So what I'm going to do I have a better angle for this? So I like to use leverage. So sometimes I'll use my body, sometimes I'll rest it on the bench or a table. You get this chainring bolt little teeth inside this little guy, and then you can try and go righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. This is hard. These guys do not like to stick in. It's real shallow. And you can just spin it, and the tools just popped right out. I need more leverage. Go right down to the workbench, so I can put the crank arm down on the workbench, so it sort of acts as extra leverage. And I can try to really hold this tool in with this hand if I can. And now I can really push with my thumb against the tool and turn the Allen wrench. And if you're lucky to go snap and make a little pop and crackle and break loose. I put it against my body to kind of hold it. And once it's spinning, you can always switch to a three-way or something easier. Like the three-way, because you can hold it and balance. Now I can twist and get this stuck dude out. And it is free. These little rusty bolts, I'm not putting them back in. Let's do this one too. This one's just spinning. I broke it loose earlier. As long as I'm holding the tool on it real hard, it'll come out. I really thought one of these wouldn't. I was pretty surprised that I got all four of the easy access ones out. So that's it. I usually take a tool and knock these guys out. If it won't, you can sort of start this ring back in just a thread or two. Start this bolt back in just a thread or two. And then push with it. And now it's come out a little bit. And now I can undo it and it will be free. So let's take a close look at this chainring. You can see it's kind of like a mushroom. It's a threaded body with a big, fat, round top. What I'm going to do is get a drill bit the size of this threaded body. We're going to drill through this fat round top from where the Allen wrench goes, and hopefully we can cut through it deep enough to where this top just pops right off and separates from the threaded body, in which case we can technically push this ring all the way down, which may be a lie. There's not much gap in here. If we drill through this, it might not push down far enough where we can get this ring out. Maybe we can wiggle it crooked and get the chainring off. Maybe it'll fall off, hopefully. Otherwise, we might have to drill way down into this, take a bunch of this metal out. The trick is, we want to drill this guy so it dies and goes away. But most of the time, you don't want to mangle your chain rings. So you don't want the drill to be too big or too off-center and damage the chain ring. You especially don't want it to mangle and damage the actual crank arm that's sandwiched in between the chain rings. But worst case, if it mangles it a little bit, you file the burrs off, put a new chain ring on there, and you won't be able to see or tell. So let's look at some drill bits. Here's my very reasonable, very pro, totally missing a bunch of bits and mangled drill bits. It's a cheap Harbor Freight drill bit set. I usually throw bits away when they break or piss me off or get dull or whatever. Yes, it sucks I don't have them, but at least they're not there to trick me into thinking they still work and drive me nuts the second time. So I'm going to try and find one that is about the size of this, or really the backs are fatter. So this one is big enough to completely drill through the threads on this front piece, but not so fat it would drill all the way through the fatter back chainring, back part of the chainring bolt, and mingle the cranks and stuff. So this is probably a good size. Now you can do this with a hand drill. We can just push this against the bench, take a hand drill, and be pretty careful and fight it a little bit. I have a drill press. I'll probably just do that so I don't need third hands and make it a little easier to see and stuff. And it's fun. Drill, press. Take this big bit out. I was doing a bunch of drilling yesterday. Always using this thing to save stuff. Put this guy in because it seems pretty reasonable to me. Now we have to make decisions in the drill press. I could clamp the crank in here. I think I've done that before with rags all around it, hoping you don't mar the surface much. I have my drill press set up to the very slowest speed. The belts are loose, they'll slip before anything damages or breaks. So I might just hold the crank and see if I can hold it stiff enough to keep it from spinning. So let's put on this 2x4 so it doesn't mangle stuff. Might lower this just a little bit for some comfort. So this is a little awkward. It wants to be all crooked and weird. I don't want it to be crooked and weird. I'm going to hold it by the handle. Worst case, this bit will stick in this and it'll want to spin. And I can probably hold it, and if not, I'll let it go, but it'll spin and I'll just turn it off. But it's going to be awkward. This is probably what you do if you just did it on the bench anyways. Spin this in so we can have more room on this handle. So it lined up. And it needs to come up a little bit. I have a bunch of random chunks of scrap wood that I'm hoping won't mar the crank. I'll change this angle, keep it where it needs to be. We'll see. Real slow, just touching it. Stop. Try to make sure it stays on center. Hold it real tight in the left hand. I won't whip around and break my finger against the vise. So that was, it caught the bolt and the whole bolt was just spinning, so let's let it up. Try again, you want to spin. Spin the whole bolt, don't spin the bolt. Just spinning. Real gentle, don't spin it when you dig in the metal, do not spin the whole bolt. When you drill into it. And it spins. So we can see it's drilling in, it's cutting in, but the whole bolt is just catching and spinning. So we have to try a different size. We get something else to catch and not spin, because there's no way of holding this from the back. It's sticking up maybe a millimeter or two. Maybe I can get some pliers or something in there. I hate this hidden bolt design for this reason. I do have, like this guy from Harbor Freight. This was like $7 for a kit of stepped bits. So it's like quarter, I think it says on here somewhere. Some small size, 3/16, 3/8, so each side is a different size. Maybe this is what I should be using. I'm just afraid of going too big. But let's try this a little bit. Because there's nothing to hold the back, so if it just spins, we're kind of boned. It's one weird smaller thing. Drilling don't catch. So far, it's drilling out the inside, not spinning, and spinning. Put a little bit of angle on it, and it's just spinning. Don't just spin! Maybe I'll make some weird tool that can kind of hold it, keep it from spinning. But I can't think of what. I'm going to try maybe a bigger bit and see if we can drill this whole head out. I mean, this ring's kind of mangled. I don't care if I actually wreck it. We'll see if we can save it. That's too big. It's bigger, but not quite big enough. This guy's a couple sizes bigger, almost as big as that whole head. So really, we just need the head out, really. Just want to be able to drill and catch. This might be a really bad video if I can't get this guy out. If this were a different crank or a different one of the rings where you could access the back, I could put a tool on it, I could tape the tool to it, I could hold it real tight and zip tight, I could put a hose clamp or something. We could try other things. So all we gotta do is hold that stupid bolt from the back so it doesn't spin. Let's try it. It is just spinning. What can we try? So this is a little pry bar that is actually like a brake spoon. It's for cars to go in through the drum on old vintage cars and adjust the brakes while the drum and the wheel and everything's on. Maybe we can come in here and put enough leverage to keep them spinning. I mean, probably not, but maybe. I got it in here, so as I squeeze the crank and the tool together, it's going to put more and more force up on the back side of that chainring bolt. Maybe it won't spin. It's not spinning, it's not spinning. Alright. It looked like it was about to start spinning, but it didn't. Instead, it just actually drilled through this enough to where the whole head of the bolt popped right off. So now it's like a weird concavey washer. So now, the bolt's not even attached. The ring is free. But the trick is, can we get it out? So this isn't deep enough to get it out. Oh God, it is so close. So it's just too much of the bottom chainring bolt and the threads of the top, what's left sitting in here. You hit the arm, there's not enough room for it to actually come out. So what I gotta do is we're gonna try and hold this in tight with this wedge again. You can see there's just a few millimeters sticking up. I'm gonna try and get rid of these millimeters. Just gonna try and drill enough of this away forever that you can slide it up from the bottom. So I drilled into it, so now it's like flush, maybe a little bit more poking out. I've drilled into it, so now you can see the inner layer is the old front of the top of the chain ring, and this other silver layer is actually the bottom one, so I'm into that. So in theory, that should be enough. Oh, it slides right out. You can see that guy, what's left of it in there. Crank is fine, no damage to this ring, no damage to the crank at all. And we saved a crank that would otherwise have to go in the recycling. And technically, this ring was good. Once it's out, there's no damage at all. All we need to do is get a new chainring bolt. Gorgeous. Saved. So this is the second video in a row where I got to use this brake spoon for an old car. These are at every garage sale, every crappy toolbox thing. They're $2 or $3. I think new, they're 5 or 10. There's also, I don't have one right now, there's also a mini one of these, like the style pry bar. They make little mini silver ones of these pry bars. For like $9 at the hardware store. They're magic for this exact same kind of stuff. They're easy to find, they're usually chrome. I just don't have one. I need to go buy one, but I keep not doing it because this thing keeps doing the trick. So you don't need to use the specific tool or the right tool all the time. Sometimes you just need to use anything that works and doesn't damage stuff and make your life worse. This chainring is really not too bad. It's at least 50% life left. I don't know if I care. So that is my super short video on how to get these gross stuck chainring bolts out. Oh, look at this. This has a couple of chainring bolt spacers in there. I bet those rings have the rest of them. A little 1/2 mil spacer. Sometimes chainring bolt spacers are the truth. You really do need them to get your chain line just right. Sometimes if the chain's too far apart, the chain will fall in between the rings. Sometimes if your chain's too close together, it can't shift or has weird issues. You gotta space them out so the chain's not grinding. If you're on the little ring, it's not grinding on the big ring. It sort of depends on how many speeds you use or whatever. I use them a lot with bash guards and things, but this will clean up now. I'm very happy to have saved this crank I probably paid $5 for. 170, they're flat black Saginos. You never see them. They're in decent-ish shape. This will be fun for some build. Anyways, thanks for watching.